Happy Wine Wednesday, everyone. I haven't had enough time to even go get a new wine glass again, but I do have my there's always time for wine, friends, and coffee mug going on. And I do have Chardonnay in it. I promise. I'm sure none of you doubt me, right? But anyhow, hope you've had a fabulous week. Hope you had a great holiday if you celebrate it. Um, I did, in case anybody cares. It was wonderful. The reason we're a little behind today is because we were chatting ahead of time about, whether or not we care about the holiday goodies. And I don't, and I'm stuffing them. So, yeah. Anyways, we are here to chit chat with you guys about seahorses. We don't have a topic tonight and no guest. I heard a little birdie tell me that Chris Carey might join us. I hope that he does. Chris, if you're watching, get in here. And Holly, let's actually, sorry. So I have Holly, Cheryl, and Ray with me today. Cheryl's back. So anybody who has questions for Cheryl, she's back this week. And of course, Ray and Holly, as usual. And Holly, why don't you show us your shirt to start us off and tell us what we're looking at? Oh, wait a minute.
You erased me.
Yeah, I erased you
Let's
instead of
see if
making you
I
big. All
can
right.
get. Oh, here we go. Now you can see it. Yeah, so I got this. This shirt is about 20 years old. I went shopping in my storage today because I've been losing weight and found that. So it's from the Monterey Bay Aquarium, a trip I took there years ago. And so I was stoked to find that and that it fits again.
That's
My
awesome.
my sea dragon shirt.
And it's beautiful. And
Yeah.
Ray, I did want to show really quickly.
Yeah.
I looked for my Sea Dragon shirt that I made for for the channel, and I couldn't find it. Last minute notice. I didn't know Holly was going to wear her Sea Dragon shirt. But just to show you guys real quick, if you go,
Probably one of the girls have it.
what?
One of the girls probably have it.
Maybe, probably. But just to show you guys real quick, let me get over here now. If I can, maybe not. Can you guys see?
I can see your thing now. You'll need to scroll down to see the sea dragon stuff,
Yes.
though. I
So
can see
what I
your.
was going to say is, when the store that I made transferred over to YouTube, this is, if you go to YouTube Seahorse Whisperer, you've got these options at the top, and of course their store. But it shows mainly the stickers. But every single one of the designs you see here has a shirt. So I have to see how to get there, though. I have to remember. Zen
Aw.
Ginger, if you're there. I mean, but you see, you can get this design on a
Yeah,
shirt,
on a
on a
shirt.
hoodie, on
Oh,
whatever, and it's a really
neat.
cool design. Devin from Reef Dudes. Sorry, guys. Devin from Reef Dudes is the one. He absolutely helped me with this design. I had the design, but he helped me with the color scoping and everything and making it look. It looks good in the picture. It's even cooler on a shirt because it's almost like it goes from shiny to a different color. So just letting you guys know, these things
Sweet.
are already available. And you can, there's tons of stuff. I have to get over. That's one of my favorites. Who's Your Mama? It's got the little
That reminds
babies.
me, you owe me a shirt.
I do owe you a shirt, and I mean, there's cool designs. I mean, like this is a shirt that I've
I
bought for
like this
myself.
sea dragon one. I might want that in a sweatshirt. I saw it comes in sweatshirts too.
Yep, and there's just, I mean, I did spend a lot of time on this, guys. Like some
It's
days
cool.
I just want to be a mermaid, and just different. Even go look at them and give me design ideas for the next things that we do. Like, oh, that. Sorry, let me go back. This one's one of my favorites. Like I like this one just because it's a really cool, like
Yeah.
hard looking seahorse. And then I
Yeah.
really liked this one. I don't know why, but I just think it looks cool on that shirt, right?
Mhm.
So anyways, just wanted to make sure you guys know that there are these things available if you're a seahorse lover or whisperer. Get you a shirt. Christmas is coming up, of course, so go check it out. And if the shirt seems way too expensive, contact me, because I do have some controls over this stuff. It's not just like I threw it up there. And with that, I'll stop trying to show you guys these designs and such. How do I stop sharing? How do I stop sharing? There we go. Okay. Anyways, I wear these shirts often to Wine Wednesday, but sometimes I forget to show you guys. Hey, thank you, Zen Ginger, for posting the link. Really appreciate it. And I do, like, I'm willing totally, like, for the holidays and for anybody, who contacts me, I can do a discount code or something to get it a little cheaper for you. But, not only does it support the channel, and it helps us get in better guests and all that good stuff, but they're just cool shirts. I love them anyways. Like yours, Holly, that Sea Dragon shirt is really amazing. And if anybody has any design ideas where you want, I know we talked about before putting up an option to put your own seahorse on a shirt. I still want to do that. I still will do that. And in the meantime, until I can make that work on like a website or on the shop page, if you contact me on the side, I can absolutely design you your own shirt using your Seahorse. So, and Holly, I do owe you a shirt because you were the expert level member. So you got to just pick one and let me know which one and I'll get it to you.
Yeah, I'll have to go check it out. I was thinking I wanted to do some of my seahorses on a shirt, but I'm taking too long on that. So maybe I'll pick something else out and then do that another time.
Yeah, we can do
because
anything
I have
you
so
want.
many pictures. I don't know what I would use at this point. So.
I know. And if you do contact me and want it could be fish too. It doesn't matter. I can do a shirt for anybody. But it does have to be, a pretty high quality picture. Like, consider that it's going on the shirt, so it can't be, fuzzy or anything like that. Mm-hmm. If you get with me on the side, I can give you the exact, what you need to make sure it has in order to be on a shirt. Yeah, but would be happy to do that. All right. So again, no topic tonight. We're hoping that Chris Carey jumps in. But do you guys have anything that you need to discuss before I jump into my tanks?
No, not really. Nothing new. I gave my guys, I think I talked last week about they have all their Christmas stuff now.
Yep.
So I've been taking pictures of them and posting that because, they're so cute with the Christmas things, and they love them. They love their Christmas things. So it's made a lot of cute pictures.
Okay, awesome. Ray, nothing from you. Cheryl, nothing from you. Nothing new.
Nothing new.
Not from Cheryl either. Okay, well, I will ramble and. What was it?
She was sleeping.
Actually, I can see a lot better now, which makes a big difference.
Yay! I mean that matters absolutely. And
I'll give her one of my hearing aids.
Before I jump into my tanks and what's going on with my stuff, Clayton Mendez asked, where or how should I sell a
35-month-old seahorses? Good luck.
No, don't say
that. We've been through it. There's places.
Not on Facebook.
Yeah.
So don't.
Facebook shuts down sites that allow talk about buying and selling.
You can't say anything about it.
Right.
You have to be discreet.
Hey, Coral Works, good to see you. And Clayton, I see you have 30 seahorses that are 5 months old. Really cool. That means that you were very successful in raising them. Bravo, because it's not an easy task. We'd love to hear more from you about how you succeeded with them, if you've been doing this for a minute, or if this was just, hey, you got lucky. Maybe you watched the video of Cheryl showing you how to set up a seahorse stuff. Who knows? Or you just had a system that worked. Vincent does things completely differently, and he's very successful with seahorses too. Just whatever you did that works, please share. If not here, than in the group on Facebook because we love to see success stories. And I totally feel your pain at this point
Yeah.
because you're finally successful and then you're like, now what?
What do I do now? Been there, done that.
Yes, me too. And the first thing I did in my case, like, I don't know what kind of setup you have and what's going on with your situation. Please let us know. But in my situation, I ended up setting up a 90-gallon SCA aquarium to house some of these adolescents. And, huge sump, huge skimmer, all that good stuff. I could go through it. But I set that up so that I could, I had a breathing moment. Because if you're using the tubs, no matter what kind of system you're using, if you don't have the extra space for all these adolescents, it can get crowded really quick. I hope that Vincent jumps in too, because he doesn't use tubs, and he has made his system work. He uses the Robert King char chambers in his tanks, so that it really helps him be able to keep more seahorses in that small confined space. But I don't want to speak for him like about his water change schedule or anything like that. I know your question was not how to take care of them. I'm just saying for everyone else. Yeah. But so the question was, what do I do with them now? Okay, so the first thing I would say is contact me on the side, because I'm always buying up seahorses, right? I won't buy all 30, but the first question to you would be, are you willing to ship, right? If not, or if so, where are you located? Because we can put out feelers for you if you're trying to sell to individuals who are already keeping seahorses or who want to keep seahorses. Also, do you have any restrictions? Meaning, some people that sell seahorses, like Cheryl, will be really, and Holly, I should say, and myself, I should say, will be really careful about whom they sell to. I remember when I first bought seahorses from Dan from Seahorse, I placed my order online, and I got to the part where I was able to pay for the seahorses, and it was like, okay, thanks, we'll give you a call. And I was like, what the hell? I just want you to send me seahorses. And he called me, or I think it was his wife, Abby, that called me, and she wanted to make sure before she sent me my seahorses that I knew what I was doing. Like, it wasn't a quiz to see if I was some pro. It was just, do you have a tank set up? How big is the tank? And if someone called and said, oh, yeah, I'm going to put them in a 5-gallon, then they would say, hang on, we really want to sell you these seahorses, but let's get you to where you can keep them and not have a problem, right? So just wondering your specifications on that. The first thing that I would suggest, aside from contacting me on the side, selling me some, and putting out feelers, because we know a lot of people who do want seahorses in different areas, would be also, you can contact your local stores. If you actually, before I go rambling on and on, Holly, isn't that something you did? Do you want to talk about that for a minute? Like how you contacted the stores?
So where I live, I'm up in Northern California and don't have many fellow aquarium hobbyists up here. So it was hard for me. My real local stores, which are like an hour away to 2 hours away, wouldn't take seahorses because they didn't have the right systems for them. They let me put up flyers in their stores. They had bulletin boards. So I did that, and I sold a few locally that way, just from people calling me who were interested. I did find a store a couple hours away that took some seahorses from me. So he could only take a few, though, at a time. So it's a good thing that my first batch, I didn't have a bunch. I only had a few. So he was able to take those. I ended up shipping, actually. I got myself a business license. So I was able to actually advertise animals for sale. Because here in California, you can't without a business license. So I got that, and I had a website and stuff, and I shipped actually. I shipped a few, not many, because I didn't know how to ship. I wasn't used to it, and I'm not real comfortable with shipping. So I'll have to say most of the seahorses made it, some did not. So it was like hit and miss with the shipping. But if I lived, I mean, there's some people that live in a more metropolitan area, like bigger cities and things that have like actual saltwater fish stores and things. If you're in a place like that, you're probably going to have an easier time with finding like aquarium clubs in your area and fellow saltwater enthusiasts that might want some seahorses through groups like seahorse groups. You can't say anything directly on Facebook. Yeah, like we were saying, you can't
But
say
you can say, if anyone's interested in seahorses,
looking,
message me.
contact me. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can be discreet and like Kelly said, put feelers out there and find people who are looking. But I mean, really, like Kelly says, it comes down to if you're willing to ship,
hmm
that helps. And where do you live? Those are, I think, kind of the main things.
So let's jump into that just a little bit. And guys, this is open chat. So I see we have some new people here tonight, that's amazing, awesome. Definitely, if you have a question or a topic that you want us to discuss that we're not discussing right now, ask it. We'll jump ship and talk about that too, for sure. But
Yeah.
let's dive into that a little bit about shipping, why people are afraid of it, how to do it, that kind of thing, whether someone should consider doing it. And before we jump into that, I just want to say again, really appreciate Ray's comment in the chat and Holly's talking about the fact that local reef clubs putting word out with aquarists that already know how to handle tanks, but making sure that they know how to care for them. And for instance, I went to my local stores when I was extremely successful with Fry and had too many and didn't know what to do with them. Clayton, I understand. He said, now I have two more batches, and no seahorses die on you anymore as they outlive. Again, we want you to jump in here and share your success, how you're doing it. But I was in the same situation where all of a sudden I've got a 90-gallon full of adolescents, 3 more batches on the way, growing up, eating, being weaned onto frozen foods well. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with all these guys? That's a good problem to have, in my opinion. But in the meantime, you got to figure out how to house them. But once you do that, hooking up with a store is like huge. And in my case, the store that I chose to work with, I went in and talked to him and I literally said, how would you keep them? And I talked to the owner of the store and we figured out a system that he could handle without having to make too many changes or, spend a bunch of money just to sell seahorses, but that I was comfortable selling him my seahorses because a lot, you go to many of these fish stores and you'll find them in the reef tanks. If that's something you don't care about, fine, sell them your seahorses. For me, I wanted my seahorses to go to homes and, and make it through this process. So in my case, the store that I dealt with set up a standalone system where it wasn't attached to the other tanks because, just because of the cross contamination and all that. I'm not going to keep rambling about it, but if you want to know more, let me know, because I can tell you some key things to ask a store that you're wanting to deal with, and some ways to tell if they're open to suggestions on how to make it work. Cheryl, I think you had that situation too, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, what I did is I live close to San Antonio, which is a big city. And I was able to sell some through the different fish groups that are in the area. But I also found had one store that I would sell to. And it was because a friend of mine from the old seahorse.org was actually in charge of taking care of the tank. They had a 75-gallon tank that was exclusively for seahorses. And that made the combination of somebody that I knew had kept seahorses for years and really knew what they were doing, combined with the type of facility they had, which, I mean, it was not plumbed into anything else. It was totally separate and in a completely different area than all the rest of their tanks. And she was the only one that touched the seahorses.
Mm-hmm.
And they were always calling me for more. But it was one of those things where it was everybody else. I'll give you an example. I was in a fish store, and don't get me wrong, because I really like the people that work there. They're very nice. But they had brought in some seahorses, and they had a pair of potbellies and a pair of erectus. A man walked in. He wanted to buy the potbellies. So the guy bags them up, one erectus and one potbellied in the bag.
Uh-oh.
And I'm sitting there going, excuse me, you have a problem here.
Right.
And they're like, what's going on? You see the belly on this one? Yeah, he's probably pregnant. No, that's a female. A pot-bellied seahorse. Oh, I mixed them up.
Mm-hmm.
Duh.
Well,
And
wait, and Cheryl, real quick, for someone new or someone who doesn't know why that was a big deal, why is that a big deal to have a potbelly and erectus?
It's one of those things that it takes time to learn. It's not something you're going to pick up overnight, but you need to be able to trust the people that you're buying from. And that was my whole thing. Don't get me wrong. I picked up several other stores that I can sell to also now, but I take the time to educate the people that are taking care of them.
Absolutely, great point. And
the two seahorses have specific needs.
okay, sorry, Ray. Repeat that because I was talking over you.
The buyer would have been in serious trouble because those different species have different needs.
Meaning what? Let's elaborate a
They
little bit.
shouldn't be in the same tank and in the same conditions.
Because the potbelly seahorses need much cooler temperatures, right?
Yes.
And the erectus can live in much warmer conditions. And that's the main thing. But there are other things where these two species just shouldn't be mixed.
Well, they didn't know what they were looking at. They just
Right.
saw were seahorses, and they just grabbed what they could as fast as they could. And I was standing right there watching this, trying to figure out how I'm going to break the news to them of what they just did.
Right.
Because there's no point in sending them off with the buyer.
Well, I will
They're
say,
lucky you were there at the moment.
yes, absolutely. I will say, for the record, for anybody watching, we're seahorse lovers, we're seahorse whisperers on this channel. So we're going to tell you the best way to ensure that all these seahorses stay alive for as long as possible. That's our entire goal, is to help others keep their seahorses for as long as they can. And when you're successful in breeding, we want to help you get those healthy captive bred seahorses to homes where they want to, care for them the same way. But if you're really successful like that, Dan at Seahorse Source, he sold the wholesalers. When you sell the wholesalers, you can't really say, well, you got to keep them like this and you got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that. When if you're becoming that successful, there's nothing wrong with selling them to a wholesaler and, allowing them to go on, because the bottom line is you're still producing more captive bred seahorses for the hobby. And the chances are more of those babies are living because you're raising them than they would in the ocean. Right. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, too, a lot of places, I shouldn't say a lot, there are wholesalers that have a good knowledge of seahorses that are actually in the States and currently purchasing from certain breeders.
Yep.
So that's another option. The thing is, if you get good at raising seahorses, you can easily raise 100 plus at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've seen it get a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
And then you have to have a home for them. And you can't keep them all, because if you do, you're going to kill everything because you're going to get so overcrowded.
Yep.
So you have to, it's a double-edged sword. You want to take care of them, you want to do the right thing, but you also know that you have to be careful in terms of how much you're breeding because you can
Right.
get over.
Once somebody's successful, then comes the time where you're not saving every fry that maybe shouldn't even grow up because it's got problems, right? I mean, I'm not trying to be negative in any way. I'm just saying, things change when you start succeeding, and I can certainly vouch for that. And all I'm saying is we're here to help you either way. If you need to be in contact with wholesalers, we've got contacts. Message me on the side. Or message Cheryl or any of us really, and we can try to put you in touch with people like that. If you our first suggestion was the best, go to your local reef clubs, find out people that want to buy seahorses, contact me on the side about reaching out to people depending on your area who maybe are looking for seahorses but don't want to buy them from a store, want to buy them from a personal captive breeder, and then go to your local stores and determine whether you're with them. That's the bottom line. You don't want to get a bad reputation by selling your seahorses to a bad store, but I don't think there's really any bad stores. Education is the key.
The other thing too is you have to. For a long time, I had enough tanks. I still have enough tanks to do it, but to fill everything up. But the problem with that is you get even one really good pair, and they can pop out a couple hundred every few weeks. And next thing you know, you've got 10 tanks in the 60 to 80 gallon range that you've got to keep up with. And unless you're really committed to it, it's hard.
Well, but the thing is, we need, if you haven't noticed, like if you go to the only few real seahorse sellers, I guess the word is, I don't know, but they're very good. They're incredibly great seahorses. I recommend them for sure, but the price is hiking. Like every time I look, I'm like, oh my gosh, they used to be $70. Now they're $250. What the hell happened? So we need more people to be successful with seahorses and become breeders. I mean, like this could be a for real business for you.
The shipping also is.
We're going to talk. Wait. We're going to talk shipping in a second. I promise. I just wanted to also say, Vincent said. In fact, I'll just lead into the shipping at this point. Vincent said, "I wouldn't try to sell to just anyone or stores." What you were saying, the expense of shipping and just always worrying about losing them in shipping is the problem. Mm-hmm. So go ahead, Cheryl. Let's talk shipping.
Well, one thing I've seen common in fish stores is juvenile or very young of the larger species that they're selling as dwarf seahorses.
Sure.
I've seen that quite a bit. It's like with me. Okay, so I have a bunch of 80 gallons set up. So guess what? Now I've got 30 in at least 30 to 50 in nursery tubs that I've got to move. So the next thing you know, one of my 80s is now suddenly got 50, which means I had to have that thing cycled and ready to go.
Sure.
Or I would have killed them all. And it is a lot of work.
It
really is.
But Clayton is having, right? He's getting these seahorses to 5 months old. So you're making great points, Cheryl. I'm not saying you are making great points. I keep saying we need to have an episode strictly about, breeding and raising fry. But in this circumstance, let's just hone in on shipping, because I know Holly was terrified to ship. She did not want to ship her seahorses. I know Vincent, I had to talk him into shipping me seahorses. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, both Holly's seahorses and Vincent's seahorses arrived to me alive and well and, no problems. But it's a scary thing, right? Mm-hmm. So why do you think... Go ahead, Cheryl.
Can create problems too.
What do you mean?
I have a friend who is a really excellent breeder. She was shipping, and she shipped them before Christmas. Fortunately, the FedEx driver saw the water in the back of the truck, opened the box to see what was in there that was leaking, saw the seahorses, took them to an aquarium, a national aquarium. They kept them for a week until my friend got everything together to prove that they were really her seahorses.
Wow.
she got them back and only lost one. But the only reason was the driver and the aquarium bent over backwards to help her out and
Mhm.
take care of it.
And that's a scary story. I'm glad it did work out. But you're telling like the negatives of shipping. I'm trying to tell people it's not as scary as you think,
Well,
right?
I just
Hang on. It international shipping is really frightening. If Chris does jump in, he can talk about that if he wants. Um, and shipping in general is frightening. You don't want to ship seahorses and something bad happen. They get lost in the mail, whatever. That would be terrible. But there are some good tips to get around that. And that's kind of where I was going is let's show people how they can be successful in shipping because I can tell you Holly and Vincent were, I was, it is, it is expensive, and I'm glad that point was brought up because that's one of the things that Dan from Seahorse Source had the most trouble with, is that he charged as minimal as he could for his seahorses because he just wanted people to get captive bred, healthy, good seahorses. But then they'd find out that the shipping was almost double, like it almost doubled the price, and they would back up and not want the seahorses. So how do we figure out how to ship seahorses for cheaper, and what are some tricks to shipping seahorses well?
well the biggest thing is, first of all, if you're going to be shipping, you're going to be, if you're going to do it right and legally, you're going to be jumping through a lot of holes, especially if you're sending them out of country,
Okay, but
like a
all right,
record.
all right. Let's not talk out of country. Let's just talk about if I'm shipping my friend a pair of seahorses, right? And I can tell you, absolutely, I will give the advice, check with your local laws, okay? Because I know that in California where Holly's at, there might be some rules. In Florida where Dan's at, there are some rules. When I checked, I live in Indiana. I'm sorry about the door slamming. My significant other's leaving for work, third shift. Anyways, when I checked in Indiana, because I was told by people in Florida and California, you need to be very careful. You have to have a license for this, and you have to be approved by that, and this, that, and the other. Not in Indiana. They don't care at all. I mean, I literally
Well,
said, hang on, let me finish. I literally called every state representative that I could and Fish and Wildlife and all this. And the bottom line is in Indiana, I don't have to have any license to breed, raise, and sell and or ship seahorses. But you also want to check where you're shipping to, right? Because there may be some laws that prevent them from coming into that state. Usually not. I'm just saying dot your I's, cross your T's, right? But in my case in Indiana, so it depends on where you are. Cheryl made a great point earlier too, that if you're considering shipping, got to consider the weather conditions and the time of year. Like maybe don't ship out the week before Christmas because that's going to be a hectic holiday for shippers and that kind of thing. But I don't want people to be afraid of it because I had to talk Holly into shipping these seahorses. I had to talk Vincent into shipping these seahorses, and they all arrived just fine. If you do it right,
shipping
things
is
work
not
out.
that hard
Right.
if you stay on top of it. But it's, the problem is like what I ran into when I had some horses shipped to me. It took them 5 days to get cross country to me,
Right.
and that's ridiculous. They obviously were not paying attention. They were not treating them properly, and fortunately, the breeder was very kind and sent me some more seahorses. But it really wasn't her fault either. It was the shipping company.
Well, and I
And
get
I've got,
that. Find a shipping company that you trust to do this. But I've literally sent seahorses. I sent my first pair of seahorses that I had bred and wanted to share to Felicia McCauley. If you guys don't know her, you should. She's another seahorse whisperer for sure, and she writes articles about all sorts of reef stuff. But and I believe she works for Biota at this point. But anyways, Felicia McCauley hadn't had seahorses in a long time. She's the one that got me into seahorses. So I think it was for her birthday. I can't remember. It was some sort of celebration, whether it be birthday, Christmas, something. I sent her a pair of my juveniles. And I was really afraid to ship. I really was. She walked me through the steps, which is what I'm hoping we'll discuss in a moment. And I was so scared. I literally used the mail. I didn't even go to UPS or FedEx.
Mhm.
When they got to Felicia, the bag had leaked some water at the end. The seahorses were fine. Everything was great. I mean, I'm just saying that I think we tell too many horror stories, and that makes people afraid to do it. I don't want people to be afraid to do it. I mean, it's okay to ship seahorses. Holly, what was some of the things that you were told that would help you in being a good shipper?
Well, how to bag them correctly. You want more air in the bag than water.
Mm-hmm.
Not much water. It's like a quarter water and three quarters air. And you want to use heavy duty bags. And then you put them in with your first bag. Once they're in there with the water and all that, and it's sealed, you flip it upside down and do another bag over that so they don't have corners where they can get their snouts or tails stuck. It
Yep.
makes it round. And I use a bowl castrator tool to put the rubber bands on, literally.
To put the rubber rings on.
Yes. And so
Yeah.
I have a special tool for that. Insulate,
Castrated.
insulate the box. So I buy insulation for houses, actually. They come in sheets. You can get them at Home Depot, cut them to fit the box. So they're all insulated in there.
Yep.
I don't ship, or I didn't ship. I don't ship at all anymore because I don't have any for sale, but I
Right.
would only ship during nice weather on
Mm-hmm.
both sides and
Oh.
all between the whole route because I'm not that comfortable with the hot and cold packs. You can use those, but I used some unsuccessfully once. So you kind of have to know what you're doing with that or have somebody tell you how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I used UPS. I didn't have any problem at all. They took them. They do take live animals, and it wasn't cheap. Use the 1 day guarantee shipping, which they actually got to their destination like in 12 hours.
Oh, I'm laughing at Chris Carey's comment. Elascorator. Go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And so it was expensive though. I want to say it was like what, $180 or something to ship for
Yeah.
overnight.
It's expensive.
It's not cheap to ship to do like overnight.
See, and wait, let me just interrupt real quick. I'm sorry, but when I it was a long time ago. Granted, guys, I know Vincent just made the comment. Since COVID, shipping has become more problematic,
Yeah, I
especially with live
shipped during
fish
COVID.
delays. But think about it, Vincent. You shipped me after COVID. Holly shipped me after COVID, and
It
everything
was
worked out just
during
fine.
COVID.
Oh, during. Okay. Well, okay. But I'm just saying, we're going to give you all the angles, guys. And I'm just saying, stop being afraid to do it. But they're going to tell you why not to. I get it. And that's what we're here for, is to discuss this and show every angle. But now I forgot what I was going to say. You just said something that I wanted to comment on. It's gone. Damn it. What did you just say, Holly? You
Oh, I mean,
said,
I said it's not cheap to ship them overnight.
yeah. And I was gonna say, when I shipped Felicia my pair of seahorses, this was before COVID, granted, for sure, but I didn't use overnight. I used the regular, like 1 day or whatever. I did make sure she was close enough to me that I'm not talking about shipping from California to across
I
that's
shipped to
different.
Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. So
From
that's different.
California. I'm in Northern California. Where I live, they have a 2-hour drive from the UPS place to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
because I live in a rural area.
Right.
So, I mean, I was really sketchy on shipping because where
Well,
I live,
and
our
that's the
weathers can be in the hundreds. It can be freezing. And
right.
then you got to know the weather where you're sending them, and also
Yep.
along the way, like what airports they're going to travel through, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So you kind
Absolutely.
of
I'm not
plan for it, and it works, but
I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just saying I agree 100%. It depends on where you are and the weather and the time of year and everything we've just talked about. Absolutely great points. But Clayton, I don't know where you are located.
yeah, it
But
depends
first of
on
all,
where
if
you
you're near
live.
me, if me, I'm looking for a pair of seahorses to spark the romanticism in in the tank, and so definitely contact me. And if you're in an area like mine, Indiana, middle of the dang country, not great for raising and breeding seahorses or gaining seahorses because we're totally landlocked, but shipping's a lot easier, especially if you're shipping around here. I've just never had a problem. Like I hear these stories, they're true. I feel terrible when something goes wrong. I get it if you're in California with
I see
lies. Yeah,
he's in
not lies,
LA. He's
laws.
in a big
Not
city.
lies, laws. Huh?
Not only that, he's in Southern California, big city. You should find all
Right.
kinds of sources to sell them down there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Now, Holly,
there's
talk about
public
that.
aquariums. I would even check with public aquariums, like those universities down there.
But will they buy them?
They might. I mean, I'm
Okay.
too far away, so I can't. San
No, but
Diego's 12 hours.
no, I get it, and I actually have to grab something, so I want you to talk about all the opportunities in Southern California where he's located. But my question was, will an aquarium buy seahorses? I thought they had to be donated.
They might be donated, but I would
Okay, yeah.
donate to them.
Well,
Where are you
I mean,
talking?
wait. Let's be fair. He spent this time to raise the fry, all the money in feeding. He's going to want to
Mhm.
sell them first. At least would be my thought. I mean, if
Mhm.
you get to a point where you can't sell them, then donate them. Absolutely, that's an option if you're just running out of space and you need to get rid of the seahorses. But you want to sell them. That's the whole point, right?
Mhm.
So, what other options could he possibly have that are better than yours in Southern California?
Well, he's in a huge metropolitan area. It's like Cheryl living near what do you say, San Antonio? Is that the city near you, Cheryl?
I'm sorry.
You
I
live
was reading
near
some.
San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Cheryl's near a big city. That's why she has so many options. LA is huge. You're in, yeah, a huge area for opportunities to sell them. There's probably
Well,
aquarium clubs. Check with
there's
fish
there's several.
stores,
Yeah, there's
public
four in
aquariums.
this area.
There's all kinds of stuff down there.
Well, it's like too. One of my friends who I've been known for over 30 years happens to own and run the local fish store, and he can get in just about anything you want. And his big
Mhm.
thing for years was discus, and but he also knows saltwater. He has saltwater as well, and he's been at this since he was in his early 20s. He took over the store, and he's now, I won't say how old I am, but he's basically the same age I am.
Mhm.
And he's been at this for forever. And he knows how, watching him bag fish that he sells and stuff and talk about something that you can ask him a dumb question and he gives you a pretty answer. And he's really cool. He's just real laid back about it.
That's awesome.
But
And I go ahead, Cheryl. Sorry.
it's nice to know that people can go in that store and not get messed over by somebody that doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
And Holly, I think mainly the point you were making is that there's tons of ways to sell the seahorses in the area he's in
Yeah,
because
and
there's
down
probably
you're close to the coast. You're near a big city. So yeah, there's more people that are into the aquarium hobby in that area. than there are where I live. You're lucky
Oh,
to
So
yeah.
find
can they,
anybody who even keeps salt water here.
so aside from and stores and then shipping, is there a way to like advertise that you're selling aside from setting up a website and becoming a company? Is there a way to like advertise?
I'm
I don't
sure
know.
you could, like in like newspapers, media. Like, I mean, I put up flyers in around, and I
There'll be
people
sections
that
that
saw
they
my
can,
flyer in grocery stores that were curious about, the seahorses. So I think anywhere down there, the thing is, in that population, you're going to have more people that are familiar with saltwater and keeping exotic fish. So I think anywhere that you put up flyers and things, you'll get some hits, and then you just screen them.
Yep.
You talk to
Yeah.
them and screen them. That's what I did, and
And
The,
if you
the
don't, and
difference
if
is,
you don't care, I mean, if you just have so many that you just want to make sure that you're personally not hurting them by keeping so many in a tank, again, I'll go back to there's nothing wrong with connecting with a wholesaler. There's nothing wrong with
Mhm.
it. You're still selling them to a reliable
We
source, you
have
know.
wholesalers in California. They don't pay much, but um, I found one in the Bay Area.
Good. Well, see, there's another connection. Ray, you were
But
going to
you're
say
not going
something.
to
Oh,
get much money for them. I mean, we're talking really low prices when you're wholesaling.
God, I know. I get it. I'm just talking about it's not
But if you
wrong
need to
if you
get
get to
rid
that
of them,
point. Right,
yeah, because you
right.
have no room and you're going to kill them by keeping them,
Right.
then
He said
that's a good option.
he's got 30 5-month olds and then he's got two more batches. I'm just giving the ultimate, okay, you can't sell them the way you want to the people that you want to. There's another option, right? I mean, there's
Mhm.
always another
Yeah.
option. Ray, you were going to say something and then I've got something else to say.
when uh, around here, a lot of that kind of stuff can be sold in the buy and sell forums, like Kijiji. Do you have Kijiji down there in the U.S.?
I don't know what Kijiji is.
I
What is
haven't
it?
heard of it.
Oh, but you probably have the similar types of things where people buy and sell just about anything.
Oh yeah. There's all sorts of apps
Yeah,
and yeah,
and
forums.
and most of those things have sections. Like here, the most common thing is Kijiji, but you can go to the Kijiji website and then you can search for specifics like aquatic animals or aquarium supplies. There's all sorts of different departments. So you can find a department that for selling saltwater fish, animals, whatever, and you can advertise for sale there.
I know Zen Ginger's looking for seahorses. Just to, no, I'm teasing. But
Needs to get ready for
and
seahorses.
I was dead serious that I'm looking for a pair to spruce up the tank. So like because I'm trying to breed
Yeah.
again. I miss it so much. I know that difficult problem when you all of a sudden have too many, but I want that problem back because my stubborn seahorses will not give me fry. What I was going to say is also if you are concerned, like it just depends on who you are, why you're doing it, you know. And I do see your question, answer it in a minute. But I wanted Holly to comment on. I know Holly was concerned with selling to a store. She was concerned that they, like,
Mm.
she might talk to the
I
owner.
didn't want him to die.
Right, right. Well, and you can talk to the owner. They can even, convince you that they're going to set up properly, but then you're worried that they're not going to educate the people that they're selling them to. So, Holly, didn't you make up some brochures
I
that you
did.
left? Yeah.
I had little printed up directions on the seahorses, perimeters, and how to take care of them and everything. And when I sold them to the store in Reading that I ended up selling to, I gave him a supply of those to give to the customers that were interested in the seahorses and either bought from him or wanted to contact me because he could only handle a few, and I had more coming.
Right.
And so it worked out. It took about 3 weeks for the seahorses to sell. He got $60 a piece for them. I sold them to him for $30, which was really good.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a really good price.
really good price for selling to local fish stores, actually.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
found.
So you're always going to be better off selling to people because they'll pay
Mhm.
more. If you're if you are just now becoming successful, you might want to give it a minute and figure it out. But if you continue to be successful and maybe even expand a bit, you need to set up a website. That's the biggest way to sell. And then go into places like Facebook and not say, do you want to buy seahorses, but say,
Go to my
if you're
website.
interested in
Yeah.
seahorses, here's a website.
And that's
And
what I did.
I actually do websites on the side. If you're interested, but sorry. Anyways, I'm just saying that's the easiest way is to set up a website. It can be really basic, but yeah, become a breeder for real, and you're going to sell them to people who want them as long as you're willing to ship. And we could have we've had a whole episode before about shipping where Dan was here and he helped Holly, and Holly did an excellent job shipping me seahorses and others. And there are things, as we said, time of year, weather, that where you're shipping to, all that good stuff. Coming up with a carrier that maybe charges you less. I know Dan has a resource that is not UPS or FedEx, but actually
Mhm.
charges less and does a really good job. If you need that, let me know. But there are ways. And selling to an individual is always going to be a higher price for you.
Yeah,
Um,
wholesalers are really low. They want a large amount. They're looking for like 100 or 200 at a time, and you'll get like less than $10 a piece, like a few
yeah,
dollars maybe, is what I found out from
yep.
California wholesaler. So they're
Which is
hard to deal
crazy.
with unless you
It's
have a
really,
lot. They want a lot at once. They don't
yep. And
want like four
it's
or five.
right. And it's crazy though. Like if Clayton wanted to get rid of all 30, let's say, and maybe
Mhm,
that didn't meet their minimum, say it's
mhm.
50, but say he kept them for the next batch. Then again, if you go through I remember Dan saying constantly he would sell to individuals all day long, but selling to the wholesaler, they don't give you much. And then they're making a huge profit, but they're storing them, right? And that's what you want to get away from is keeping the seahorses healthy while you're trying to sell them. So it's just where you're at in the business or where you're at in the circumstance. And then you said you'll need seahorses in a few more months. You're getting nervous and excited. I'm just excited, girl. I am so excited for you to have
Yeah,
seahorses and come in here and show us your tank. And oh my
for
gosh, I'm so
sure.
excited. Absolutely. Um, and she also said you can super shady Craigslist style unless you're 20 pounds
Yeah.
stay stick included. Love it, love it. But yeah, no, I actually don't love it. I'm kidding, guys. No good, no good. Don't do it. But yeah, anything else you guys can think of that you want to say about selling the seahorses that you're successful with
Well,
or shipping? Go ahead.
one thing for me is I have the same UPS driver that's been coming to my house for almost 30 years. And he gets the biggest laugh. It's like one night they called me and told me that they were running late and they weren't going to be able to deliver until the next day. Within 15 minutes, he shows up at my door with my seahorses. And he's done this kind of stuff for me more than once because he knows that I'm really into seahorses. Well, he's really gotten into seahorses too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny when you've got a working relationship like that. I'm much more relaxed because I know he's not throwing boxes, he's not kicking boxes,
That's actually
he's not lifting.
That's actually an
Yeah,
amazing point, Cheryl, is getting to know your shipper or if you have an individual or if you have a connection in the company, getting that connection makes a huge difference, because then you have a different level of trust. And yeah, absolutely. I saw Clayton said that you think you'll keep breeding and sell online from a website and possibly make a side business.
I did that.
Please.
So I used a website, and what I did was I got a seller's permit. In California, you have to have a seller's permit to sell live animals, like on a website or something. But
Mm-hmm.
it's nothing to get one. It's nothing to get one. So
Right.
I created a tax ID for the Seahorse business and used them as a write off. I got a seller's permit. I created a website for them, and I created a Facebook page for them, which I still have. It's Siren Song Seahorses. I still have that, even though I'm not selling seahorses. But what I did was I put, if you're interested in seahorses, in finding seahorses, go to my website, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I
Yeah.
sold some that way. That's how I ended up shipping to Florida, which I thought was funny because they come from Florida originally.
Right.
And here I'm all, you can't find seahorses in Florida. You're going to buy them
Right.
in California. Really? But I
Right.
did. So anyway, so yeah, it can be done, but it's a lot easier to not ship if you can avoid it. And where you live, like I said, there's more people into the fish hobby and saltwater in Southern California, way more than out in the boonies where I live.
Sure. I think he'll be
So I think
surprised.
you'll be
Yeah.
surprised if you advertise in your own area,
Yeah.
talk to the local fish stores and aquarium clubs, and you're probably going to do fine down there, I imagine.
But I have to throw in, I sincerely hope that you do get the licensing that Holly just talked about, that's so easy to get, and you do get proficient at shipping, because we need more breeders desperately. We need more
Mhm.
stores, online stores that,
More choices, yeah.
yeah,
Go
that
to.
are selling healthy, captive bred seahorses. We've got Vincent still. He's still chucking them out. And I love my Vincent seahorses. I'm going to post pictures when I'm freaking sparkly. I love my Holly seahorses. They're so beautiful. And I won't buy captive bred, and I prefer to buy from people that I know have raised them right. So I buy from you if you do set up to ship. Holly's right in everything she said. It's easier to not. Where you're at right now, you can probably get rid of all of those seahorses locally. And
Mhm.
that would be easiest and best for you, because shipping is so expensive. But if you continue to expand and do build a side business out of it, that I really want to do is, if I ever get my website done, I want to showcase and advertise for captive breeders like
Yeah,
you.
where to
You know what I
get them.
mean? The
Like a
the
classified
individuals.
section so
Yeah,
people can find. Well, and now the word of mouth is out here,
right. Right.
so I mean, people can private message you and stuff. There's ways around, the whole Facebook thing,
Well, and
with
Clayton
being able to
said,
post animals, people, someone can message you and say, "Hey, I'm interested in the seahorses. Can you call me? Here's my phone number." You can
yeah.
talk to people
Yeah.
Well, and
and
Well, one
Clayton said, real quick, Clayton said, I will try to sell locally, and I will ship as well. Then contact me. I'm telling you right now, I'm looking for a pair. And I keep saying that, don't I?
yes,
I'm not too
and you've been
desperate.
saying it for weeks.
I know, I know.
It
But I
it's
sincerely,
meant
I
to be.
really want to see more breeders rise up. I want to be one of them. I'll be real with you, but I still want to showcase any captive breeders that are really making that effort and going through it to provide these seahorses for the hobby. Because anymore, when I first started, I ended up with 6 different species in my own house. And not all of them bred or anything like that, but I was successful with 90% of them. And it was so cool to have different, you can't find them anymore. like Ray, you made a comment about reed-eye anymore. I don't even know, where could you buy reed-eye right now? There's
That's a good
nowhere.
question.
I mean, you can't, you can't get, I can't even, I couldn't even find Kudo when I was looking. It's been a
I used
minute.
to be able to import the breeding stock,
Oh,
and
yes.
as a matter of fact, back like when I first started 21 years ago, reed-eye were fairly easy to obtain back then. Actually, they were easier than getting erectus. Erectus, I never saw them for, I guess I was probably in the hobby maybe 6 years before I come across erectus. But before that, I imported from Australia the Angustus and the Barbary, and what else? I had combs there
Pot-bellied.
too, but I can't remember where I got them from now. I think that I got them from the U.S. But now here in Canada, there's hardly anything available. And you talk about shipping down there. Here, an individual can't ship liquids. You can't
Mm,
ship or anything like that unless you set up an account with them. You have to guarantee a certain monthly amount of shipping fees that you'll be paying to them. And you have to send packaging off to them for them to test to make sure that you're going to meet their drop tests and their rough handling tests, so that the packages don't break open in shipment. But just the mere fact of the minimum shipping amount, and I can't remember what it was back when I was checking this out here, but it was way more than what I could handle. And so I ended up, there's an LFS about 7-minute drive from here, and he had an online store. So he would advertise my seahorses online, and then when he sold them, he would call me up, and I would pack them up and run it over there, and he would ship them off to the customer. So I'd sell them to him for 35, but he sold them for 70.
right. Hmm. Well, and that's the thing though, is that you were still stuck caring for them until they sold. So it was
Yep,
it was a good deal for them too. I mean, it was a good deal
yep.
all around as long as you're able, right?
Well, he would have taken them, except that I wouldn't let him have them,
Oh,
put them in the system.
well, then that's
See, he would have
even
just put them
better.
in with his combined system, and I didn't want that.
Right. Right. Well, and that's what I said is just talking to a store, you can figure something like that out. Like Ray's deal, where, he would sell them, but then Ray would come bring them or ship them or whatever. In my case, the store was literally willing to set up a standalone system for me, and it worked out. And yeah, I wish I would have continued to do it then because I miss it so much. So I saw, Clayton, you said that I'll be your first ship. I'm down. Yeah, I'm serious. Contact me, because as soon as I have Frey, I'm going to be your worst competition. No, I'm just teasing. But I won't be your competition. You'll be in California. Don't worry. But yeah, it's interesting to me too, you guys, like how different it is. So I want to say again, anybody who watches this and jumps in later, if you're doing well breeding seahorses and you're looking for ways to sell, that's what we're talking about. But definitely, first step is checking your local laws, right? Because I remember Holly talking about, what she had to go through. I remember Dan talking about what he had to go through in Florida.
And it
In
wasn't that
Indiana, I
much.
don't
It's
have to
more
do
about here
anything.
it's
I could literally
advertising.
hang on. I'm just telling you, on my website, if I had Fry right now, I could go throw up, I'm selling seahorses, buy them right here, click this button, and I don't need anything. It's just crazy to me that there's such different laws,
Well, it depends on the way you're doing it. Like here the reason I had to get the seller's permit and all that was because I wanted to sell online and advertise online. If I didn't do that or use them for tax purposes, I wouldn't have had to do as much, right? Part of it was I used them for a write off because I spent way more money raising them than I made selling them.
right?
So they were a tax write off. for me. I'm self-employed. So that
I got a
was
quick
a
question.
big part of it.
Go ahead,
I got a
Cheryl.
question for Chris Carey. Where are my hippocampus
I
zebra?
knew she was going to say that. She says that
She will not give
every
up on
time
that.
she sees Chris Carey.
He knows me. We go through this every time he shows up here.
I know. And Chris, jump in if you want. But I did say that, or I did see, first of all, that young Rector said that Live Aquaria has read eye for sale, but I've never purchased from them before. Anybody got a comment without saying anything like too negative?
Quite often, if you go to the site there and actually click on it, it'll say out of stock.
Right.
Mhm.
That,
Yeah.
first of all. And second of all, I would just say, if you are going to buy seahorses, like I'm literally sitting here saying, you know, if you can't, if as a personal breeder, a small time breeder, you can't find a place to sell your seahorses to individuals, the last resort is going wholesale. They would end up at a place like Live Aquaria. So no one's saying anything's wrong with that. But I typically try to research a little bit where they've come from, if that makes sense. Because a lot of times it's fine and it's good, and then sometimes it's not. I'd be curious why we don't see any of the um, specific seahorse breeders with reed eye, but we see Live Aquaria with it. I'd be curious. I'm about to go to the website and see if you click on it, if it goes to not available, as Ray said.
Mhm.
But I guess that's all I'll say about that. I prefer to buy from individuals and from breeders that I know and trust. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with buying from Live Aquaria. I'm just saying I don't know. I've never done it before either, so I can't really comment. I would just do my research first. Um, and but it's interesting that they have them available. I'm actually going to call myself and try to get more information, because where are they getting them? And the reasoning behind that is I don't know their policies. I have no idea, but I always want to buy captive bred, right? And if none of the breeders I know and none of the stores know, like not stores, but like Ocean Rider, Seahorse Savvy, if none of them have reed eye, where are they coming from, right? So I don't want to end up with wild caught. That I just don't want to end up with wild caught. And Chris Carey said it would be possible to get Australian seahorses to North America, US and Canada, but it would need to be a big enough order to warrant an importer on your end in buying them. Absolutely. I've been trying to do this for years, you guys, and obviously I've never finished the website. I'm really bad with follow through, okay? I have great ideas and then I just need other people through. I've got Zen Ginger every weekend Wine Wednesday posting the right links and making sure we see that we need to go to this site, and making sure that we see, what's the name of it? Fish Fam links. And you know, she's awesome at that. I need people like that to complete the task, right? So I'm all about a group order. I would love to get more species in. I think if Chris ever does jump in and join us, he'll talk about maybe what the species he's currently working with. And sea dragons are being kept, you know, in aquariums now if you set up properly. So definitely, I would love to be involved with a group order. I just can't afford it all by myself, right? So I need some of you young people out there who are interested in expanding the hobby to join me and follow through for me. I'll give you the money. You just got to make it happen. All right. And I think we already talked. What's a really low sale for wholesale? We already talked about that, right? Like what is the lowest price you might get wholesale, selling wholesale?
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I was saying like a few bucks or something.
Yeah, I think
But
it's
they
8 to
want a
10.
lot. They want a lot. Like unless you got like 100 or something, they don't want a handful of them. They want to
The,
deal with big orders, not little.
Well, the problem with this too is, particularly right now with everything that's going on with the wars and
sure.
attacks and stuff, it's really making it difficult. From what I'm reading, to pretty much ship anything or move anything. and it's going to be difficult for a while.
Mhm.
And I kid about the hippocampus zebra, but I know that the probability of me ever getting a pair are like a million to one against.
Mhm.
So Chris Carey said he is still working on it for you, Cheryl. He did say that. He also said that he has Abdominalis, Cuda, Barbori, Whitey Eye, Reed Eye, and Breviceps. Holy shit. And Weedy Sea Dragons. I mean, guys, we got to get these back in the U.S. If you know anybody who has that moolah and is interested in a group order, I'm totally down and totally in, because I mean, we need to get these species back in. But again, we need a breeder capable of not only raising them and carrying. I can buy a pair. I can buy a couple pairs. If I breed them and they do successfully, I would make a business of it in a heartbeat. But I'm not in that space right now. I'm not in that place right now. So I need someone who's willing to do that part, and or do it together as a group. Reach out to me. I'm so serious. It's not a joke. And Ray, you said there are a lot available on Live Aquaria right now, but no Reed Eye, right? They've got
Yeah.
engines and
Yeah.
combs.
They've got engines, half spined, whatever that is. The Barbaries,
Oh, now I gotta
Cuda,
look.
Tiger Tail, and Erectus.
Now I gotta look. Hang on.
That's what
Let
they're
me
But a
trying
lot
to
of times they have those ads there, but they're not available. They don't have
Yeah, then
anything
you
available.
try to order them and they aren't there. I've done that.
Here,
Just
let's
Yeah.
got
let's
'em.
just do it together real quick. Here we go. Let me
So
pull it
share
up.
your screen. Let's
I
see
am. I am. Here we
what's
go. All right. Can you guys? Oh shoot. Hang on. Wait. Hang on. I gotta move this over. One sec. All right. I'm gonna move this over here. That way I'll be able to get it to it. All right. So tell me if you can see it. Can you now see it?
Yep.
Yeah, there
All right.
it should be
So we
coming.
go to Seahorses. That isn't gonna work.
You gotta
Where do I
scroll
go,
down.
guys? Scroll down to what? Let's
Well,
go to. Let's
did the
just go
search
through.
result. Just scroll that page.
What?
Just scroll that page, because at the top of the page, they're showing not
Okay.
seahorses, like they're showing mices, and
There's Seahorses. I got
if
them.
we go down further, then you see the seahorses.
All right. Wow. So, oh no, see, all of these, Ray, say email me when in stock. None of
Yeah,
them are available.
that's
Oh.
always what I see on there too.
Hmm.
I didn't see the fine print. My glasses aren't that good.
No big deal. That's why I was checking. I got excited for a second. You've let us all down, Ray. I'm just kidding. It's not true.
But they're not listing Reed Eye at all.
Right. Not even listing them, and none of them are available. So, I mean, we just need more captive breeders. Whenever anybody comes on here and says, I've got 30 adolescents and 2 more batches, what do? I'm like, make a
Send 'em to me.
business, yo. We need more breeders. Send me some, first of all, first thing. And then, we'll help you with shipping. We'll help you. I mean, I understand it's so much work. I want to get back into it because I miss it so much. Holly's like, I'll pass. Too much work.
Yeah, no thanks.
It depends on what you want, right? I would love to do it again. I would love for that. And I mean, I'll be completely honest. That thing he always used to say, it just costs so much to raise them that you turn around and, people don't want to pay for them. And I get it. But we need more people to do it. And if there was competition, the prices would come down, right? Like if I was able to succeed and I got some seahorses, raised and was ready to sell them, I would totally put them on my website that's not done. And I would totally sell them for half the price that they're selling at the other places. Because then I'd be in business selling out. And that's how it works. Like currently I work at a gas station. The prices come together, right? You compete with each other, but then if you throw a low ball, then it comes in the middle, right? We need somebody. All right, I'm done. Clayton should sell LA. He will sell all 30 for 60 each, and they will say it. What are you saying?
Yeah, he should sell all 30 of them. He could get rid of them all at once to LA for about 60 a piece, and then they can turn around and double the price. Like when they're sitting there selling a half spine for $148, engines for 130. So they should be able to get a good price for something that's actually available to them. And they're actually advertising the Erectus at 120.
Mm-hmm. That it's just so insane to me. I know this was many years ago. I bought my barboard. I don't think I ever paid over $100 for a Seahorse, ever. And now they're so crazy priced. It's just, it's whatever. I mean, I guess, honestly, on the other side of the coin, to be real, maybe breeders are finally getting paid for all that work, right? Maybe they're realizing that you can't, you have to make back what you put into these seahorses. They are worth more. I'm not saying they're not. I'm trying to be cheap, y'all. I'm trying to get cheap seahorses, all right? And you want wholesale, right?
One of the problems too I have with Live Aquaria is they're advertising engines. Engines get huge fast.
Yeah.
And when I say huge, they're going to be pushing 15 inches
Mm-hmm.
in no time at all. And when they produce fry, you can seriously look at 1,000 plus coming out.
Mm.
And that's when they're still young. And quite frankly, I kept engines for a period of time and worked at raising them. And they ultimately ended up going to an aquarium because they were just
Too big.
They were just too huge
Yeah.
to be in my house, quite frankly.
Well, and that's, you need to be careful, do your research before you buy any seahorse. I absolutely agree. Ray,
Yeah.
you said your last order of barbs and abs, the abs were $35 each. Oh my God.
Well,
How
the
many
barb-
did you buy though?
6.
You're
But
shitting me.
I bought 6 of those, and I bought 8 barbs. That was from Seahorse Australia.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember what the price was on the barbs, but it was probably double that. But then the kicker was the shipping.
Yes.
I still had to pay shipping charges equal to, say, if I'd ordered 100. So I
Yep.
had to pay the same shipping charge.
Yeah.
But it still worked out in the end when I got them here. It wasn't too bad. The overall one worked it out individually. But the main thing is I was able to get something that I wanted.
Yep. Chris says, Chris, get in here, man. All right. No, actually, wait till next week now because I'm not going to last much longer. Got things to do tomorrow. Can't tell you live, but everything is getting more expensive. It's costing more to produce seahorses. Power costs alone are going up so much in Australia. It's ridiculous. The seahorse hobby is going to feel it going forwards. And I get that. You have, if you're not making back your money, no, you're not going to do it. I totally get that. I really honestly wish we could figure out shipping. I need to talk with Dan again because he did have a company that was much cheaper, did an excellent job. Maybe Holly will remember when she comes back. I don't know, but it was a specific place that was a shipper that did better because that is the problem. You could make more on seahorses if you didn't turn around and find out that you're going to have to charge a customer double the price. I mean, seriously, like it's the shipping is the problem, I think. And a lot of breeders, like I'm sitting here complaining about the price of seahorses right now, but they may just be being smart, right? They may be saying, okay, because of the cost of raising an individual seahorse, I need to charge $100 for a seahorse. Shipping is going to be another $100. So if I tell a person that's buying that, there's no way I'm not paying that much for shipping. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge $175 for the seahorse and tell them that shipping's $20, right? I mean, it's smart because people, myself included, when I first bought seahorses from Dan, I was all ready to place my order. And then he said, okay, and then shipping's this much. And I said, oh, hell no. I will not pay that much for shipping. I was mad at him because I didn't realize, at that point that it wasn't his fault. He wasn't doing it. So sometimes the price, yeah, I shouldn't be complaining about the prices of seahorses because I get it. They're probably compensating for shipping. Now, if they're charging $300 for a seahorse and then the shipping's $100, then I have a problem. But besides that, I should just hush and, get it. Because Chris, you're right. Everything's getting more expensive and we need to acknowledge that and be real about it. And what I paid 10 years ago will not be the same today. So I'll zip it on that part. But anyways,
Well, the salt and food for them, I mean, back when I was raising the babies, the price of salt is
yeah.
getting really high. The price of their food, I mean, it's a lot.
They're not cheap.
They're not cheap. It's not a cheap hobby for sure. I mean, I have just 6 left now. And it costs me probably about $100 a month to keep them
Mm-hmm.
because of the price of the salt and the food. And that's it. But I go through so much salt because I do the water changes, and I'm siphoning their food so they get a little water change every day. Yeah, I go through a lot of salt.
No, I'm with
Are
you.
you going
But do
in the
you buy in bulk?
Huh?
Do you buy in bulk?
I do. I try to.
Okay, because that's for anybody out there.
Like
That's
today, I
right.
paid $39 for a 46 pound salt, the bucket. I used to buy the big boxes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's now cheaper, I found, because of the way I get it to do it in the buckets, which is actually less
Mm-hmm.
in it.
I
So
do I do the buckets too, but I'm just saying if you're the other thing I really want to throw out there real quick, if you're getting successful in breeding seahorses and you're looking at the fact that the salt's costing so much, the food is costing so much, I will absolutely put you in touch on the side with Dan. He does have connections. There are ways if you become a business, you can get wholesale prices for those items, right? You don't want to sell your
Mhm.
seahorses for wholesale, but you can buy wholesale when it comes to salt, when it comes to food. You can get much cheaper prices in order to raise those seahorses when you get
That's
serious
one
about it.
reason you want your tax ID and a seller's permit.
Yes, absolutely.
Plus,
Absolutely.
they're a write off. Like I said,
Yep.
they're a tax
Yep.
write off.
Yep. Holly knows all about that. And what were you saying, Ray? Were you saying something?
I'd buy 10 or 12 cases. The cases that
200
have
gallon boxes.
450-pound or 450-gallon bags in them at a time. I'd buy 10 or 12 of them at a time, and usually I'd get the
Discount.
whole thing for about 52% of the regular selling price.
Yep.
Mhm.
Buying in bulk pays off for sure. I did have a question about that though, because we've talked about this before. I think it's just my house. I live in Indiana. The humidity, the temperature, it changes constantly. My house has smoker people in it. So CO2, whatever. And when I bought not a humidifier, what's the thing that tests the water in the air? What's that called?
Hydrometer?
Yeah.
Oh,
When Dan advised me to get a hydrometer or hydrometer or however you say it, bottom line is it was like it's really wet in your house, right? Okay, so very moisture air in my
But you
area.
do that again. I want to see that.
Well, my question though is if you live in a
That was
situation
cool.
if you live in a situation like mine, how would you keep salt? Because I do try to buy in bulk because I absolutely think it's the best way to go. But when I buy the buckets and such, when I get about 3/4 of the way down, I can tell it's hardening up. And it's because the moisture from every time I open the bucket or whatever. So I don't know how the boxes come. I don't know if there's a better way to store them. Like, how would you
things
handle
in it.
that?
Put a Ziploc bag that's not totally sealed and fill it with oatmeal and stick it in.
Ah, oatmeal, huh?
anything that absorbs moisture.
And just let it sit there.
Yeah, just leave it in there. So when you open it up, make sure that you're not going to knock it over and get it mixed in.
Right,
Although
right.
you can, after you, if it does happen, it's not a big deal because once you mix up the salt,
You'll
you can
see the
use that
flakes.
mesh
Yeah.
to capture the other. But there's a lot of things you can use, like even flour will absorb some moisture, but not as good as stuff like
Oatmeal.
that, or rice also works.
Rice, I think I've heard of. Yeah.
So just put rice in a Ziploc bag, set it inside the bucket or whatever, leave
Yeah.
it somewhat open, make sure it doesn't spill, but that'll
Right.
make sure it doesn't get in the salt. Oh, I love
Mhm.
that. I love that.
But for me, the oatmeal was cheaper than the rice.
Okay.
That's why I
Okay.
went that route.
I'm gonna try it. I'll let you guys know what happens
And
because
it was easier to rejuvenate it. With the rice, it kind of went pasty when I threw it in the nuker to dry it off before I'd use it again. Whereas the oatmeal, I could throw it in the nuker and dry the moisture off and use it over again, and
Oh,
wasn't
interesting.
a problem.
what do you mean a nuker?
That's cool.
Microwave?
Throw it
Yeah,
in the
microwave.
microwave. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
See, you guys, I feel
Dry it
so
out and
stupid.
reuse
I
it.
don't know this
Yeah.
stuff.
I
But for
didn't
me,
know.
the
I know
actual
rice
biggest thing
absorbs, but
was using my own homemade salt mix.
yeah, tell
Mhm.
us about that, Ray.
Well, I um, I'm
I'll be
trying to
right
think
back,
what
you
was
guys.
it? Frank Malero, I think the name was, had a recipe that I found online for mixing up salt water. And what I did was took the four main components of that and used just those. And I talked with Randy Holmes Farley and just talked with him about the proportions and that to make sure that I was on the right track. And he said there should be no problem with it. So for decades, over a decade, I used a mixture of Instant Ocean plus my own homemade salt mix, and it was just the four main ingredients that were part of Frank Malero's recipe that I found in chemical oceanography. I forget what it was now. It's on my website.
Mhm.
Maybe while you girls are talking, I'll quickly go to the website, see if
Find
I can
it.
dig it up.
Yeah, do that, Ray, because I'm willing to share the four ingredients and how you did it.
Mhm.
If it's a secret, that's fine. But if you're willing to share, we'd love to know.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, you need the ability to mix up large batches of salt water. Like I would do, I had the one container of the Instant Ocean that would hold 35 gallons of Instant Ocean, and my other container was 32, and I'd mix up the my homemade stuff in that 32. But basically, I just mixed the stuff half and half. When I first started off, I mixed it one part of mine and three parts of Instant Ocean, but gradually I went to half and half. And there was the odd time uh, where I didn't have too much of the Instant Ocean mixed up, and when I did the water change, I didn't have enough of the Instant Ocean to mix it all half and half, so I went even heavier and never ever did have a problem.
So why were you doing half and half? Just to make sure that
Well, because
whatever in addition to those four ingredients, you
yeah,
still
because
got
I
it.
wasn't mixing up all the micro nutrients
Minerals
and everything
yeah, okay.
that are
Okay.
into it. And while the four ingredients that I was using probably had a lot of those micro chemicals as
A byproduct.
contaminations,
Yeah.
I still wasn't able to measure it and know for sure. So that's why I did the mixture of it. But you need to be able to mix it up. You have to be able to buy the chemicals in bulk. Now I used like for the sodium chloride, all I used was water softener salt that uh,
Wow.
that didn't have anything else mixed in it. It was just pure sodium chloride.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I'll go to this
Yeah,
website and dig it
go
up.
look it up because I'm curious. Again, guys, I want to be so clear on this channel. We tell you guys what has worked for us. We are not veterinarians. We are not chemists. We are not advising anyone to do anything. Just disclaimer. We tell you what has worked for us. If you choose to do that, good. But we're not advising anyone to mix anything or do anything like that, right? So just to make that clear. But
The
I
advantage
want to
I
know.
had was being able to talk with Randy Holmes Farley. He
Sure.
was a scientist.
I'm just covering the channel, Ray. I don't want to get kicked off the internet because somebody does something crazy and blows up, right?
Yeah.
So, but no, I get it, and I love all the side DIY stuff. When I had multiple tanks in this house, I used three 35 or not 35 gallon. I don't know, the huge brute totes. That's what I mixed
Mhm.
water in. That's what I used. I had
Mhm.
water all the time. Oh, Zen Ginger said, they are not seahorse doctors. They just play one on YouTube. Right. Well, I'm not trying to play one. I'm telling you, I'm
Okay,
not.
I'm posting the web page that I have it on.
Where are you posting it, Ray? Okay,
Right?
gotcha. I'll copy it and put it
Well, for
into
some
the
reason, if I
comments.
post on YouTube, it never shows.
All right, well, it's going to show now because I'm posting it. There it is, and I'm going to go to it and see if I can't share it while you're telling us what the heck we're looking at. Here we go. All right, share screen. And then I'm going to go to here. Not that. Yeah, that. So what are we looking at, Ray?
Well, basically, the first one was where I started with, and it's the one that was okayed with by Randy. And later on, I made slight changes. And I can't remember now the exact purpose of why I made the changes, but I did make slight changes for it. Now, um, they were fairly large volumes, so if somebody's going to do it now, they would have to scale it to whatever size they want. But the thing is, if you're not going to be doing it on a large enough scale, then it's not going to be worth it anyway.
Mhm.
You have to
So,
buy. I'm buying these bags from
Make
a
the large.
chemical company, and so I get a good price on it from them.
so how much is a 5 pound bag of sodium chloride?
A 5 pound bag?
That's what it says on the very first. Like on the very first line, it says
Oh,
for 32
that's not a
gallons.
bag of that. I'm taking
Oh, 5 pounds.
yeah. But the thing is, I'm just using that much out of the 20 kilo bag that I get them in.
Okay, so how much? Like I
That's
know you.
44. It's a 44 pound bag I get it in.
Gotcha. So I understand that you probably don't have an exact figure or anything, but you feel overall that this did save you money long term. It's just you got to kind of put up some money up front to do this in bulk, right?
Yeah, you have to buy in quantities in order to get it. So somebody that's just doing on a small scale, it's not worth it. But
Gotcha.
for someone that's doing on a large scale, like I wasn't just doing it for seahorses, I was doing it for reef tanks and fish
Yeah.
only tanks.
Yeah.
I had about 1,000 gallons of tank water on the go all the time. Now, the biggest user was the seahorses because I'm a big believer in large, frequent water changes.
Yes.
My reef tanks and that the, the water changes I ever did in them were never near as large and never near as frequent.
Gotcha. Well, I still think it's really cool, and I'm going to keep this. I don't currently have enough tanks to make it worth it. Even though I'm doing large frequent water changes, it's still, I get your point. Like when I was back in the day and I had a bunch of fry tanks and I had, a reef tank and all these seahorse tanks and I was keeping those brute totes of water. Yeah, I could see it being worth it. And maybe that's something that will help Clayton or someone who's up and coming in the breeding industry. But I still think it's a really cool thing that you figured out and found a recipe and tweaked it. I think that's really cool. So good job.
I'm just a tightwad, and I look for ways to do things cheap. That's why I never ever buy
Cheers.
regular sumps. I use just a plain tank. Uh, build my own lighting systems. Just build my own skimmers. It's just me.
It seems like a common theme though. Cheryl's the same way.
You know,
I need them to come visit and do my
I
stuff.
Man, I would pay for Ray and Cheryl to come visit my home, set up my sump, tweak my skimmer. Oh my gosh! Which I do. Before we end, I do want to tell you a little bit about my tank, but yeah, Cheryl, you got all the DIY stuff going on too, right?
Oh yeah.
Everything you do, right?
but the thing is,
Well, mine is I modified it because of my well water, and I actually have a 1 micron sediment sleeve inside a container as my first
Mm.
container for my RODI unit.
Mm-hmm.
Then from there it goes through the other 6 stages and so on and so forth. It's designed as a big one, but it didn't take me long to figure out that with the stuff that comes in my water, sometimes I was going to be going through filters like crazy if I wasn't smart about it. So I just bought an extra canister and hooked it up at the beginning.
Figure it out.
there's a prerequisite to what I do.
Yes.
You have to be the type of person that doesn't throw anything out.
Ah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I'm about a month ago, I used something that I probably stored or stashed downstairs on the shelf probably 30 odd years ago,
Wow.
and never ever got to use it until just recently. Now, not everything takes that long, but then again, there are things that I've stashed here and never ever used. And I've been in this house for 47 years, and a lot of what I have here, I got moved from my first house.
See, you guys, Ray is going to be on the news. He's going to be that guy that finds these rare Pokemon in his basement or coins or something. And we're going to be like, oh my God, Ray's a billionaire. Holy crap. Right?
I got
But
no to know if I've got that kind of bread around.
Right. But
I'm old, but I'm not completely senile.
No, you're not. I think it's really cool. I'm a stasher too. I won't throw anything away. I've got piles of shit everywhere, but I'm just not that.
Same here. That's why I have my 20-year-old Sea Dragon shirt.
Right.
That fits me again now.
Which is bravo again. But I'm just saying, I'm not that. I can't think of the word. It's not ingenuity. I'm not that smart, right? To figure out how to use the stuff. I get so jealous, Ray, when you talk about your pumps that still work after 20 years. They just don't make them like that anymore. I mean, they just don't. We've got all these fancy gadgets and buttons, and we can make it do things, but it only lasts a few years.
You can still buy those same. You can still buy those same power heads. They're just under a different name now.
Yes, and they're made differently, though. I'm telling you. We could argue it, and maybe you. I'm not always right. I'm always right, y'all. Listen to me always. But I'm just saying. I just feel like that they don't. The businesses are trying to make their money too. Prices are high on scraps and materials and all that, and everything's just cheaper and costs more, and it sucks. It really does. But we're not going to go down that slippery slope.
Those are things that I had to buy. I like it when I have a problem or a need, and what I do is I look around me to see all my accumulations. What can I do to achieve what I need to do with what I already have?
I think it's amazing. I think I need you to come to my home because all of the stuff that I have accumulated and saved is like going through it would be a terror because it feels to me like just a pile of crap, right? I mean, like I have a huge box as big as me full of parts from PVC, different canister filters, all this crap
Mhm.
that I know that if I gave it to someone like you or Cheryl, you'd make something amazing out of it. But I'm like looking at it and like, just throw it away. Because it's dirty. I don't know what goes where. Ugh. I love DIY people. I think they're amazing. I'm just not one of them, unfortunately. But anyways, would you go ahead and say it out loud, Ray?
Yeah.
What?
Funny you say that about crap, because my wife, when she was alive, she used to always ask me, why didn't I just get rid of all that crap?
Right. And it serves a purpose if you can serve the purpose, right?
Yeah.
If you're gonna use it.
Scott's like that. He uses stuff all the time. He uses every scrap of everything. And we have so much stuff around here because he works on the house, he works on his cars, but there's always stuff he can use. He
Yeah.
creates cool stuff. And then
She
he
should
always
see,
tells me, he's all, you need to go shopping in your closet.
Well, see,
what I've
I
she should
what,
see
but
what I've
Holly,
accumulated
wait,
now in the
go
12
ahead.
years that she's been gone.
Right. You probably kept more stuff, right? And
That's for
Holly,
sure.
you found an amazing new shirt in your closet. You went
I
shopping in
did.
your
I
closet,
found some
so
cool stuff. I found a brand new leather lambskin jacket
that you never
that I
wore.
bought at a thrift store. I bought it at a thrift store because it was so cheap. It was such a deal. It was like $10 or something.
Hmm.
And it never fit me. But I thought, someday this will fit me. I got to have it. And it
Oh,
fit me today. And it's nice. And I'm like, oh, good thing I saved this.
and I've bought things like that for the day that I can wear it. Us women
Yeah.
do that. I know. But back and that's so cool. But back to seahorses, man. I think if you're DIY, come in here, ask a question. Ray and Cheryl will help you figure it out because
Mhm.
Cheryl and I have done videos together talking about how she made her K1 reactors out of coral life skimmers, and I mean that I think it's so freaking cool. But don't message me individually because I'm not the one.
Well,
I know.
yeah, I'm the nut that takes out all the innards out of tanks that are drilled and completely redos the filter system on them because I need to be able to put the different size pieces of PVC to
Hmm.
hold different sizes of seahorse babies.
Yep. And I'm the one that says, Cheryl, make me one. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's that simple. But either way, we're here to help you guys. So whatever. I did want to really quick update you guys on my tanks. I am in contact with Robert King to get him in here. I know we had some questions a few weeks ago about the Robert King chamber, the updates to it. Maybe how to tell him specifically what you need for your tank. We're gonna get him back in here, so that is coming. The only I had something to say and now I've lost it, but I'm sitting here thinking, dang it, it always happens to me. But I would just say I still have no fry. I need some seahorses from Clayton, and I was gonna make a comment about the tank. Oh, that was it. Okay, sorry, got it. So you guys, I had this thing happen where I realized that in this all-in-one tank, it's just I'm trying to prove that people can do it. I'm doing it. It's working. I'm doing it. You can do it. You can keep seahorses in an all-in-one, but it's just more difficult, more work, more figuring things out. So here's what I'm trying to figure out currently. I went and realized that the flow in the tank was not as it was going down. So like the rate of flow was going down. And I realized it's been a minute since I cleaned the pumps, right? And in a normal tank, you don't need to clean your pump that often. But in an all-in-one, you've got all the gunk going right back there. And on one side, I do have a sock, but on the other side, it's a UV sterilizer. So, and then a skimmer, but still, there's gunk getting to those pumps, right? They got to be getting gunked up. And I'm figuring that's why the flow has gone down. So I pull the pumps, run them through vinegar. I then ran them through peroxide just for the fun of it, just to get anything off of it. Put it back in the tank. I did not even take them apart. Okay, so I just ran the pumps through vinegar, or ran vinegar through the pumps, and then peroxide through the pumps. I hooked it all back up, and now all of a sudden, one of the sides is giving me bubbles. The tiny bubbles, as if the water's too low, but it's not. So thoughts?
Sounds like it got a hole in it.
Yeah, sucking
hole in
air.
it? So what do I do? Just buy a new pump, or what can I do to
It'd
figure
be
it out?
First thing I'd do is I'd take the whole darn thing apart and put it back, thoroughly clean it,
Okay.
and put it back together and see if it works normally. Because you may just have a piece of gunk sticking someplace that's got pressed out on the plastic a little bit, and
Gotcha.
so you're getting bubbles, you're getting air going in there, and it's, pumps aren't cheap if you get really expensive pumps, and it's worth it to see if it's going to work for you or if it's dying on you.
So maybe take it all apart, clean it again, because maybe as I was running stuff through it, it got something stuck somewhere. Okay, I like that. All right.
And then when you put it together, make sure each joint goes together properly.
So maybe there's something that was just slightly unscrewed or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Good advice. I'll do both of those.
When a pump doesn't work, the first thing that happens to is that all the pieces get removed and get thoroughly soaked and cleaned. Then I put it back together, but I don't seal everything. I get the impeller and everything going because I want to make sure that it's working the way it should before I put all the screws back in and everything else.
Well, I will tell you, I like this advice a lot because I was pissed, you guys, because as I said, it's an all-in-one. So these aren't big pumps. They're just the little ones, but I pulled both. I scrubbed out the little hose that leads it up to the return. I put both pumps in vinegar, I honestly forgot about it. So it ran for a long time in vinegar, and then I took it out, ran it in peroxide, and then I ran it through water so that, none of that stuff was stuck in there or whatever. And when I hooked the pumps back up, crap came flying out. And I was like, so there was still crap in there. I should have taken them apart. Okay.
Yeah.
So I need to take it apart.
What I do is the last thing I do before I put it back together is take the main housing for the pump, put the impeller in there, and run it completely on the vinegar solution that I'm using, because something's always get stuck in that area.
Gotcha. I'm looking at Ray's link, trying to figure out what he's telling me. Oh, gotcha now. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. And no, Cheryl, great advice. I was being lazy, didn't want to take it apart. And I'll be honest, I've had times in the past where I've taken a pump apart to clean it, and then when I put it back together, it wouldn't work. So again, I'm just not DIY inclined.
That's what I'm afraid of. That's why Scott does all the pumps.
Yeah.
Scott does your pumps, Holly? Yeah.
He's been taking pumps apart. We've had ponds ever since we've been together pretty much for close to 30 years. Everywhere we lived, he does ponds. So he's got all kinds of old pumps and things. And yeah, when he's cleaning out, the ponds get so mucky, like a pump will stop working completely. And he just pulls it out and he takes it apart and washes everything out and puts them back together. And then they're 100% again. So when I have a pump that's not working right, I have Scott handle it.
Right. It just takes a certain kind of person.
are
I'm
between
afraid
15 and
not.
20
I
years
won't be able
old.
to put it together right.
Well, and I didn't hear you guys because you were both talking, but I did want to say too that what Cheryl and Ray talk about all the time is really smart. I don't have a lot of spare parts sitting around. So I think it's really smart if you can afford it to have an extra pump sitting there just in case. Because I've been
Well,
in too many situations where I had to overnight a part because literally my tank was not working. So
well,
definitely good advice if you're able to do it.
some of my pumps are, the average is somewhere between 15 and 20 years on a pump that are still
Wow.
working.
It's
But the
awesome.
thing is, these were also, you've got to keep in mind, these were the old Marineland pumps that you can't even buy anymore that came with a lifetime warranty.
Right. So they want them to last. Right.
And I take them apart and I don't let them get to the point that they're having problems. I take them out and clean them on a regular basis. Boy, that's
Ray said he doesn't have any that are that new.
why you didn't get rid of all that crap. I know that feeling.
Okay, you guys, I'm sorry I'm getting blown up on my phone by the kids. I do have
I
to go to
know.
work
I was
tomorrow.
getting calls too.
It's 10 o'clock. I apologize. I love talking to you guys. We talk all night if we could. We even got Ray staying till the end now. He's like gung ho, ready to go. But I am going to have to end it for tonight. If we didn't answer your question, there's always next week or the Facebook group. And Clayton, I hope you do message me on the side. I'm dead serious. I will definitely buy a pair of Seahorses. And I hope that we helped you a little bit with what we talked about. If we didn't, come back next week and ask us some more questions. Don't forget to tell your friends too. The more people we get coming here, the more we can do with the channel. So I appreciate you, Ray, Cheryl, and Holly for coming every week and talking with us and sharing your expertise and your experiences, because that's what we're here for, is to be a community and help all of you. Zen Ginger, got to give you a shout out. You are there with those links
Yeah.
and you're always promoting the channel. I really appreciate you. So thank you to everybody. And we will be back next week. I will let you know when Robert King's going to come. If you have any topics or guests that you want to appear, please reach out to me. I'm totally willing to make that happen. And topics, we could sit here all night and talk about anything. You want to talk about hair? We're going to talk about hair, right? But we like to keep it seahorse related if possible, or at least saltwater. So, but if you have a topic, just reach out. We'd be happy to chat about it because we're here for you. With that said, let's do a happy Wine Wednesday cheer, y'all. Or pretend, those of you that don't drink wine or
Cheerios
drinks.
in this on this
I got water now.
What'd you say, Cheryl?
Cheerios.
Oh, okay. Happy Wine Wednesday, everybody. See you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.